Hey everybody, it's Peter, and it's a brisk, cool fall morning, and I'm talking about one of my favorite smaller side-by-sides. To me, this is the perfect upgrade from a sort of medium to higher end ATV for two people that you can have a lot of fun on and do some work on. So this is the Can Am Maverick Sport. It's got a 1000cc V-twin engine. It is a good little unit that doesn't show fantastically in a showroom. It's got a lot of sort of hidden technology and features that I think make it something that you're gonna really love and wanna keep for a long, long time. So I'm filming here at Extreme Torque Motorsports here in the Fredericton location. They've got 3 locations all throughout the province. If you are interested in finding something like this or knowing more about the Can Am product, 2 things. First of all, they give me complete access to their entire product line. So if you have questions that I don't get to in this video, or if you have something you wanna see from their product line, make sure you let me know in the comments, and make sure you leave a positive comment, that kind of thing. Even hit the subscribe button, because I get full access to everything they have, and I come back here again and again to make sure I have a video database of information that you want to know. But aside from that, they're one of the greatest dealers to work with because they are super, super knowledgeable. So I'm not nearly as knowledgeable on this as they are. You're gonna see me in this unit or in this video use the cheat sheet that I have. I got a little iPad. Sometimes I like to go without that, but there's so many little things on this that I think are worth mentioning, and I don't wanna leave some of those things out. So let's get going with this review. All right, so let's just quickly place this in the class. This is a 60-inch wide machine. Now, there are 50-inch wide machines that, to me, get a little bit tight for everyday use. Now, they're still good and they may be right for you, but to me, this is the size that I would want. It gives you enough width to have the passenger space that you can, feel really comfortable, especially if you're bouncing around and stuff like that. You're not gonna run into each other. But it also has that compact size. It's not much bigger than an ATV. It's fits well in your garage or wherever you're storing them. It's not, again, much bigger than an ATV, but it is something that gives you a whole new level of fun. And when you move from an ATV or something like that to a side-by-side, you get something like this, which is a roll cage. Now, the difference with the Can Am is this roll cage is ROPS certified. Basically what that means is, instead of other manufacturers just kind of throwing a roll cage on there and meeting their internal specifications, this actually meets a standardized set of rollover and crush safety that is required from an outside independent body. So you have a robust cage to take care of you as you adapt to something that's a little different. And when we speak of a little bit different, this thing's a lot of fun. And I think it's the kind of thing that, I'm a big fan of small sports cars, or even the Can Am Spyders. Can Am Spyders to some people seem really big, but they're tiny on the road, they're really fun and maneuverable, and this has a lot of that same idea. Keeping it tight, keeping it small, really maneuverable, and it's a pretty affordable unit for what you actually get. So let's start digging into some of those details and talk about some of the unique pieces that you get on this unit. So taking a look at the front of this machine, one thing I really like is the wheels are right out to the edges. And as I look through the front here, the tires are out just about, well, they're out further than this piece, but this piece bulges out. So you've got basically just the bump bar, but the body and plastic and all the weight of everything is essentially behind the axle. So you've got really good approach angles here, but also good weight centralization. Now on video, if you've seen a number of my videos in the past, you'll say, hey, this doesn't look as weight centralized as some others. And that's because you still have that 1000cc V-twin engine in here. And on larger models, a lot of time what they do is stick the same type of engine in, but you have a longer suspension arms and that kind of thing to increase that width and give some extra stability. Usually it's not about stability, it's more about allowing extra wheel travel. So this thing's still gonna feel very stable on the trail or wherever you're gonna use it, but it does have good weight centralization. It just may not look as good on camera. You've got a full 12 inches of ground clearance here, nice solid A-arms, everything else. You've got preload adjustable shocks and quality Showa shocks. So you've got really nice overall components here, but there's also a lot of technology in this. So we're gonna talk about that as we move on, but let's just take a look at the back end before we get into some of the technology. So taking an up close look at the rear end, we're gonna move up from here in a second. We've got some sun issues to deal with, so I wanna keep it nice and low to show you again, big shocks at the back, and same thing here. Your tires are the furthest thing back on here. So great approach angles, great departure angles, and because it's a shorter unit, it's gonna give you great breakover units or breakover angles as well. Standard hitch is nice, and you don't have to go to the owner's manual to see how much you can tow. You can see you can put 150 pounds of tongue weight on here and 1,500 pounds of towing weight, which makes this a very practical while still being a very sporty unit. So I really like that that capability here on this smaller unit, because again, some of these smaller units, they have a little bit smaller beds. We're going to talk about the bed. It holds 300 pounds of weight, so that's pretty good as well. But it does allow you here to use this more narrow unit as a working unit and a play unit, which of course is a really good piece. So just taking a look at the bed here, again, it's not massive, right? Because it is a smaller unit. We're gonna zoom from the wide angle out to the standard angle here, but a lot of things that I really like here. Can-Am is as much an accessory company as they are a vehicle company, and you have really great connections here for all of your link systems, so you can put whatever you want in the bed and even on the bed. As we come over here, you can see there's link systems there. So again, holding 300 pounds isn't maybe the most practical for a smaller bed. And when I say smaller, let's, instead of going for the dimensions, you can see them online. There's my arm, about 6 feet tall there. You know, and it's about 60-inch wide unit, so maybe, I'm just gonna guess, around 50-ish, 48 inches wide there. But again, not massive, but because you can put the accessories in there, you can secure whatever you need to, and you don't really have to worry about weight, because 300 pounds in a bed this size is gonna work just fine for a lot of people. And again, as a step up from an ATV, it's a really big improvement. So I mentioned off the top, I'm gonna use my cheat sheet because I wanna talk about some of the things that you're not gonna see as we dive into the cockpit here, or the, you know, driver's area, whatever you want to call it. So we talked about that 1000cc V-twin engine. To be fair, it's a 976cc V-twin engine set up for torque. Now I want to point out as well, the rear wheels are wider than the front wheels. Now if you've heard me in previous videos, I like when the wheels are the same size, because if you needed a spare, it's one size fits all. However, the handling balance of this I think is perfect the way it is, with a little bit wider tires. You get a lot of power in this thing for not a big unit. I mean, my first several cars, I mean, I had a 6-passenger car was my first car, and it had less horsepower than this thing. So when you look at it that way, you're going to want a little extra rear traction on this thing as you get into loose surfaces, just to give you a little bit better overall handling balance. So you've got that going, and then you have the intelligent throttle control. So what that means is it's electronic throttle essentially, and they call it a quick response system with the CVT. What that basically means is some CVTs can get lazy to get going, and this one has that nice quick response, and you really kind of feel that, as well as having the extra drive modes. You have the sport mode and the eco mode. Sport mode and eco mode both give you an electronic hill descent control, so as you head downhill, you've got some control over that. Dynamic power steering, which basically means it's adjustable power steering based on how the speed and the terrain and that kind of thing that you're doing. Again, a lot of electronic controls in there. And then you got that Visco Lock auto front locking differential. So again, as you turn sharp, you need that thing to sort of unlock and allow you to steer, and you need to lock back up in certain situations. So it's got that Visco Lock, really smart Can-Am system. Just makes you a better driver than you actually are. So those are a couple key specs. I want to go over to suspension. We didn't talk about suspension travel. Front suspension, rear suspension, 11.5 inches of travel in the front, 12 inches in the rear, along with that 12 inches of ground clearance there. Wheels and tires, we talked about that. 27x9 on front and rear. And oh wait, that says it's the same size. They're not the same size. I'm reading the wrong spec here because either the website's wrong or something else is wrong. I may have the wrong spec on that, so we'll double check that one for you as well. What else was I going to show you? The overall, oh boy, the features. I want to talk about the display. It's 4.5 inches wide. You've seen this from Can-Am before. Front lighting, it says 110 watt LED taillights in the rear, but they do not have LED headlights in the front. We're going to look at that in a second there. Tilt steering wheel, half doors. We're going to talk about all that as we jump in the cab right now. All right, just because I'm battling with the sun a little bit today, I'm gonna try to go no Steadicam, because it allows me a little more fine control, so I hope I won't be too shaky for you. But as we take a look at this thing, I wanted to point out the doors. They talk about premium doors on this thing, and I don't know if this is premium for Can-Am or just premium for the industry. It's certainly premium for the industry, but it feels like most of the vehicles I test here from Can-Am have a nice clean door handle, easy to work there, and an interior door handle as well. You've got a little bit of armrest in that door. You've got the closer in there, which is, you know, a nice feel of solidity. This does not close like the model we looked at with the enclosed cab. It doesn't have that, you know, real thud. It's still that, you know, plastic on plastic kind of, well, I shouldn't say plastic on plastic. You do have a nice rubber seal there, but it is a little bit more plasticky. One thing I want to note is overall that foot of ground clearance there, but you still sit up taller, and that's kind of nice in a sporty unit like this, because your legs kind of spread down a little bit, a little more truck-like sitting instead of laying your feet out, which to me is a little bit more comfortable. So we're gonna start this thing up here. It has been waxed and cleaned, so some of the shine here is probably a little extra shiny. A lot of this is a textured plastic and that kind of thing. So we're gonna start it up, and this is one of the things I like about it. Now, I am mic'd. This is a cold start, or colder start. It has a little bit of heat in the engine there. But you can see there's your dash there. They use this dash in all kinds of things. What I really like is it shows you you're clearly in rear-wheel drive. As you switch that, it doesn't actually engage the icon until the actual wheels are engaged there. So a lot of little things you can cycle through here. We got kilometers, we got trip A, trip B, we got hour meter there, and the clock, and then back to the overall meter. So there's things you can switch through. Not a super high-tech dash. It's not like a LCD screen or anything like that, but it's gonna give you the basics, give you what you need. You got your tack in there as well. So, and then this drive mode, Sport and Eco, and then you got Park. So of course, if we look at the transmission here, we've got Park, we've got reverse, we've got neutral and the high right there and low. So again, nice sort of very gap there in the high and low, so you can kind of just really tell where you are without having to look. And again, no real features on this. And this is where I say the technology doesn't really show. You got one switch in here on the center. Obviously, you can add accessories to there. And you've got one switch over here for the lights. We'll show you the lighting outside in a second, but some of that technology that makes this thing great to drive just doesn't show through. There is a 12-volt port there, again, battling with the sunshine there. And again, shiny, shiny. They got a lot of plastic shine on that when they cleaned it up for me here. You also have decent storage here on the inside, which is, again, a nice upgrade from the ATV world. You got a big glove box there, and then you have a separate little mini glove box over here. Sort of hard to see there, but that's going to hold well more than a phone and a wallet, that kind of thing. You know, always be aware that some of those things can get a little damp. There is not a fantastic seal, but it's certainly the design of it is going to keep some water out, but there's no extra seal in there. So that's the kind of thing where you may want to just make sure it's a little bit water protected here. Overall, the seats here, I'll try to show you them in wide angle as we go a little bit wider. Again, that shine is just, they put a really good coat of shine on this thing for me, but they are very comfortable seats that are not just comfortable riding, they also hold you nicely in place, which means you can have some fun and be sporty. We talked about that roll cage here. You got that open air experience here. So of course you can add accessories to close this in a little bit, but I really like, again, if you're coming from an ATV, it feels very open. It feels very good. You've got good visibility, but you're still sitting low in the unit. So a lot of things I really like. I don't know if I mentioned the tilt steering, but it does have tilt steering. So a very comfortable area. And again, as a 6-footer, I'm not banging my arms on the door here, and I've got some width between myself and the passenger. And that's why this size is really nice. It's a very compact size, but certainly large enough to go out with some friends or family. Now, as I jump out for a second here, I'll just show you the handle. I want to show you a couple things. Obviously, you can hear me talking with the engine on. One of the key things to this is instead of having someone sit behind you like on an ATV, they can sit beside you, but because the engine is relatively quiet, you can actually have conversations with that person, which again makes it more fun to take people out. Air intakes are nice and high, so you can get this thing really covered in the mud and that kind of thing. It's really a trail unit, but you can have some fun. You can take it out and kind of do whatever in it, which is one of the really strong points for me. As we show you the front end here, it's only got the regular lights on, not the high beams on. We'll try to get in there. Again, not an LED light. One thing I would like to see, but you could add a winch, you could add lighting to this, even without adding any crash bars. Some people like a little bit more crash bar protection off the side. I'm pretty sure that's a Can Am accessory here. But you also have you know, the ability to still have the main crash bar if you were to go into a ditch that's too hard. It's just going to hit that and you're good to go. One thing I want to point out is sometimes on these narrower units, to keep them narrow, they have a little bit more of an inset wheel, sort of protection there. This is really good. It's going to keep some of the mud off. You think the doors will protect you, but of course they don't always protect you, but you have got good protection here from getting that mud inside. You're still going to get muddy if you have, if you want to have a lot of fun, but if you want to stay a little bit cleaner and drier, this is a good unit for that. So let's talk about who this unit is for. So who is this unit for? What I love about this is obviously the size appeals to me. It does a lot of things with that size. It keeps the weight down, which means if you don't have a heavy duty truck to tow these things around with, or even if you have a regular compact or mid-size SUV, throw a trailer behind, you can take this. It's not that heavy. It also is smaller and fits on a lot more trailers and that kind of thing. So that already appeals. But to me, it's the hidden tech along with the overall package of this that sets it apart from the class. That hidden tech makes you a better driver than you already were. It does. There's no way around it. So what you have here is something when you're moving from the ATV position to the more side-by-side position, you're going to gain skills simply because you're in a position where, again, I think a lot of us are pretty familiar with the steering wheel and the brake and the gas, but it also has that hidden technology that's going to allow you to be a great driver. That already makes it fun for me. Now, I like the simplicity of this. When you see this in a showroom, it can blend in just because it is a little smaller, it maybe hides behind the units that are a little taller, a little wider, bigger tires, all those kinds of things. But the reality is, for the budget, if your goal is to go out and have fun with someone else, be able to chat with them, communicate with them, and hear them and talk back and forth, this is a great unit. So the size makes it good, the hidden technology makes it really good, and then again, it adds that component of, hey, it's not that expensive, but it's more expensive than probably most of your ATVs, but adding the component of 300 pounds in the bed, 1,500 pounds worth of towing capacity, you have a unit that doesn't sacrifice any fun of your ATV, is more capable as a work vehicle. The open air feeling doesn't lose any of that ATV-like feeling, gives you a different seating position that might be more comfortable for you, and it allows you to have all the fun you want, do all the work you want, take it to any trail you want, towing with virtually any vehicle. It's not a life change from an ATV, but it is a life improvement. And that's, I think, one of the best reasons to buy this thing. So this is probably one of my favorite side-by-sides right now, just because it works so well for what I would want in a side-by-side. But you can let me know what some of your favorites are and the kind of things that you like. And again, if there's something else in the Can-Am lineup that you want to know about, let me know in the comments. Do me a favor, if you made it this far, maybe hit the subscribe button. We're going to go through a whole bunch more of these. Leave us a like and a comment. It really helps me show these guys that you guys appreciate these videos being made. And if you're in the area and you want to talk more about these and learn more about them, make sure you swing by Extreme Torque Motorsports. They are amazing. 3 locations here in New Brunswick. And like I said, super knowledgeable, super friendly, super helpful people. They just make it easy to get into something like this if that's what you're looking for. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.